sharp 9:30 wrap up.
Absolutely.
Perfect. Right, we live. Let the viewers build up.
Yeah, as we're saying, David Beckham's got one of these. So if it's good enough for David, it's good enough for me.
No, it suits you. You actually look. I would even say, I think that hat makes you look younger. It takes 5 years off at least.
5 years off. That means I'm only 80. Well, that's fantastic.
You're only 60. You only look 60 now. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying, dog?
Hurtful. Just hurtful.
Right, let's crack on. Guys, welcome to another live episode on Disqualified Dads in collaboration with That Family Law Guy. This is episode 90, where we support you through the family court system, the trials and tribulations, the highs and lows. We navigate you through this roller coaster, get you down safely through this theme park to the exit, out into the other side. That's what we do here, guys. Welcome. And obviously, Mr. Ryan, some of you who may not be familiar with That Family Law Guy, he's also known as Mckenziefriend. He's also known as Dan the Man, Mr. Ryan, the White Knight. It goes on and on. The family court slayer, whatever you can imagine. He's got every name under the sun. Right, Mr. Ryan, what's been going on? It's been a busy few weeks. Ramadan, Eid, everything's been tough.
It has been busy. It has been busy. And those who celebrate, then I trust you've had a peaceful Ramadan. And obviously we're done for another year. Doesn't seem 5 minutes since last year, but there we go. I trust everybody who was celebrating Eid on Friday had a lovely day. And here we are at what date is it? 22nd. Here we are at the 22nd of March 2026. So again, rushing towards the end of the month. Next Saturday night, let me tell you, next Saturday night, the clocks go forward.
Oh, really?
Yeah. The whole spring thing goes forward. So the clocks spring forward next Saturday night by 1 hour. So we lose an hour's sleep, essentially. And then obviously they go back again later in the year. So that's happening next weekend. So there's something to look forward to. Apart from that, it's been, as you're absolutely right, my friend, it's been a very busy week in Courtville and in Project Land. And we've had a lot going on. Yes, we have indeed.
Okay. Well, like I said, like you mentioned, and I forgot to say, Eid Mubarak to everyone, all of those that were celebrating.
Yes.
And you know what? Eid Mubarak to even all of those who weren't. So, peace and blessings to everyone.
Absolutely.
But yes. Right, Mr. Ryan, tonight's topic, I saw the thumbnail. You come out with these titles. Do you want to talk around the subject a little bit?
Yes, I will do. When somebody reminds me what the subject was.
Yeah, I was hoping you remembered. Cause I didn't mention what it was because I can't remember what it was.
Because you'd forgotten as well.
Yeah, let me have a look.
Tell you what, we're so professional. This is like the cutting edge of broadcasting.
We got to do better. We have to do better. Look, guys.
Yeah, so that's always been in my report. Hang on, I'm looking and you're looking, and between us,
I've got it. Weaponizing history. That's it.
Thank
I wanted
you.
to know
there
myself.
We go.
What's that got to do with
what's that all about? I'll tell you what that's all about. I had one of the big issues.
Hey, Steve.
In family court. Hi, Steve. One of the big issues in family court is that people recount their history of what's happened in the past, what's happened in the relationship. And whereas at the time that it was happening, it was a good thing, oh, well, we all went to the park and then we all had a lovely old day and it was 10 years ago. But now it suits me now for that episode 10 years ago to have been a terrible thing. We went to the park and the child fell over and the father hit her and he hit her with an ice cream and this happened. And I just have this annoyance in family court. It happens all the time where people take their history and then they weaponize it. So suddenly what was a perfectly innocent episode 5-10 years ago now is a horrendous abusive event. It's happening all the time in court. It's actually happening more often, I'm finding, that people are weaponizing absolutely everything these days. I had a classic example a while ago, and it was a while ago, so I can talk about it now, where a guy said he was out in a theme park with his wife, as she was then, plus their 2 children. One of the children says, I want to go to the toilet. Children do that. Um, he said, yeah, no problem. He said, no problem at all, but we're going to need to rush because obviously I don't want an accident. I don't want you to wet yourself. So let's rush. So he grabs the child, as lots of parents do, just quite firmly by the shoulder in order to guide them through the crowd so we can get to the toilet where we're going. The child stumbles and falls. It happens. It happens. The mother says 10 years later, when we're in court, he pushed the child over because he was annoyed that the child wanted the toilet.
Ridiculous.
But that's weaponizing history. And it's just happening time and time again. It's happening time and time again that people are just taking events and turning them, changing them, adding elements to them that weren't there, that didn't happen, in order to suit their narrative of, oh yes, it was abusive, he was terrible, she was terrible, this happened, that happened. Nothing happened. Nothing happened.
Yeah, it seems to be the theme in family court. The pettiness seems to be getting more and more extreme from what it sounds like. It does seem like that. Anything and everything is effectively abuse on the father's side.
Yeah.
Any disciplining the child was too much, was effectively child abuse. Any argument with the ex or a disagreement is abuse or bullying. I mean, you can't. It just sounds like, where will this end?
Yeah,
you can't win.
It is, as I say, it is getting worse, and I've said this before, and I'll say it again now. The boundaries are slipping in family court. There used to be moral boundaries. There used to be things that we would say as human beings that we were prepared to say, and some things that we weren't prepared to say. Certainly, I found over the last couple of years in family court, there are no boundaries. People will say absolutely anything.
It appears to be. Go on.
No, go on, carry on.
Yeah, I think it just, again, it reflects, and it's very sad, the state of society where relationships, the intersexual dynamics are. It just feels like we are getting more and more further apart as two genders. We're from the same race, man, but we are, the biggest divide in the world is the gender divide, and it just seems to be getting more and more polarizing, more and more. We are getting further and further apart, I feel.
I think you're right. And it's quite
Sad.
It's immensely sad. And I somebody said to me the other day, I was talking about the number of children that are in family court, the sort of thick end of 200,000 children currently occupied in family court proceedings. And somebody said, well, that's terrible, that's horrendous, that's that's an absolute outrage, which it is. But we have to take the positive, and the positive is that represents about 4 or 5% of the population of children in this country. So it's quite a small number in many respects. But the issue is that as soon as we enter that arena, as soon as we enter the arena of family court, we do believe that empowers us to say anything, absolutely anything, against the other side, because we're going for the win.
Yeah, I think that seems to be the issue. But you're right. Look, on a positive note, you're right. When we started off a bit negative here, but you're right. There are many relationships that succeed. There are many families still together. We're in a space where we don't notice it as much, unfortunately. Yeah. So yeah. So listen, all is not lost. It's not all doom and gloom. There's someone for all of you out there.
Oh, there's someone for everyone. In fact, I will tell you a story that happened this week. It's a very short story. And it's a non-court story, which makes a pleasant change. Lady came to see me. She rang up and she said, "Look, I appreciate that. I haven't got an appointment, but I'm just kind of at my wit's end. I don't really know what to do." And she happens to be in the village where my office is. So I said, "Oh, just pop in." So she came in, sort of literally 20 minutes later, half an hour later, and she said, "Oh, myself and my husband been together for 10 years, whatever it was, 12 years, and it's all going pear-shaped. I really don't know what to do. I need to sort of get myself ready for court." And I said to her, "Why? Why would you do that?" And she said, "Well, that's what you do." I said, "No, that's not what I do at all." So I said, "Where's your husband?" And she said, "Well, he's at home with the children." I said, "How many children?" She said, 2 children. I said, "Right, what age are the children?" They're 12 and 13. "Are the children okay on their own for an hour?" "Yes." I said, "Then phone your husband, tell him to come here." So she phoned the husband. he said, "Where are you?" She said, "I'm down at the legal guy." So he came and we sat down, and over the space of 25 minutes, maybe 30 minutes tops, I said to these people, "Look, guys, I can guide you as to how to get into family court, kick the hell out of each other. That's fine. That's not a problem. That's an option. Or we could accept the fact that you're at the end of a relationship, and that happens, but you've got 2 children who expect better of you than you are about to give them. So why don't we just take a sensible route and work this out between us in order that we don't have to go into a family court system?" And that's what we did. And they left. They still don't like each other. That's life. But they appreciate.
But they don't hate you. But they don't hate
each other. Exactly. They don't. They don't like each other because I said you'll mellow. You don't like each other because each of you is disappointed in the other one. Because each of you believes it's the other one who has made this fail. I said, but we are where we are. Go home to your 2 children, sit them down, and say, "Listen, folks, there are going to be some changes, but life will be okay."
All right, let me ask you a question, a cross-cultural question,
Mm-hmm.
See, like the community, the South Asian community, ultimately, like I said, it's only in the last 10, 15, 10 years, really, where divorce has really and marriage breakup has really gripped the community. Because generally, you stick it out. Even me, as young as I am, even I was of that mindset. You stick it, and many were like that. Don't get me wrong; it's changing now, but it's only in the last 10 years that's coming to grips with the Asian community. That, oh shit, this may not be for life. Like, you could get it. We're just coming around to the idea. But you, from a white community, like, I mean, I thought that was a given. Not that you go with the intention, but it was a lot more normal and accepted that people split up. Shit happens, like, in the white community. So this is where I sort of think to myself, surely, like, when you get white clients, they're a little bit more realistic that, oh yeah, it's not fairy tale, like, because we had the traditional cultural conditioning that kept, marriages together. You stuck it out. This was just a done thing, as you know. So we're just coming around to the idea, and I'm accepting. I say to people, look, you hope for the best, you do your best, but you never really know. No one knows what's going to happen. And we're just now promoting that so that people don't get a shock in 5, 10, 15, 20 years time. They're a little bit more realistic in their approach. But surely white people are more conditioned to that. What would you say?
I think I take your point, and I think we're probably as in our side of the fence. I think we're probably 20 years ahead of you.
Yes.
Because certainly 30 years ago, 40 years ago, when I was sort of a young guy, in my teens or early 20s, that type of age, marriages were hard work, and you appreciated the fact that they were hard work, and you worked at them. And they weren't ideal, but you worked at them because it was the right thing to do. And I think over time, which is why, I make the comment that I think we're probably, 15, 20 years ahead of the Asian community, that we kind of reached the point where we said, actually, it's a bit too much like hard work. And we recognize that, it's okay. They can break down and you can start another one, or you can go on your own, or whatever you want to do. And I think you're right, because when I first started doing this 20 odd years ago, I would never have ever have an Islamic situation, having an Islamic marriage that was coming to an end. It just never happened 20 years ago. I would never have that. Everybody who came through my door were either English or English, or white or Polish or whatever. But no, the as I say, the Muslim community particularly never came through my door.
Exactly.
But where we are now is it is prolific, I think, in the Muslim community, in the Asian community, as it is in every community. I think divorce is rife across the board. And that is a societal issue, and it's about the fact that we don't have any patience anymore. We believe that everything is disposable. We believe that we can change everything and anything. I can change my hair, I can change my car, I can change my house, I can change my wife. That's the stance we have.
Yeah, unfortunately, perhaps you're right, Mr. Ryan. And I got to say, guys, but listen, I stuck it out for a decade, mate. I soldiered on for it. I just want to put it out there. Soldiered on for a decade. Do you know what I'm saying? But yeah, anyway, guys, we've got someone on live who wants to ask a question. Let me just bring him on.
Okay.
Right, Mr. M. Obviously, don't mention your name, don't mention case numbers, don't mention the name of your missus, kids, ex, whatnot. Just let's get to the question. How can we help?
Hey everyone, can you hear me?
Yeah, we hear you, but we hear you, bro. Come on, give us
Oh,
a
nice
question.
one. No, I just firstly, I just wanted to I wanted to agree with Mr. Ryan's comments earlier. I think the white community is probably a generation ahead in terms of how relationships play out and stuff like that. Because I mean, I'd love to know about Mr. Ryan's upbringing as well. But I think he would probably grew up in an environment where families stayed together, families lived close by. You know, you'd go out with your cousins, all that kind of stuff. That's the kind of environment that we kind of grew up in the Asian community. But
Mm,
now things are starting to fall apart in terms of, you know, when you look at divorce and family court and stuff like that. And I think, in my opinion, I think the more time you spend in this world, like in the family court space, in the divorce space, you
mm,
realize that people are just responding to incentives.
mm, mm.
Like, I'll take your case, Farouk, if you don't mind.
Yeah,
Look how
yeah.
long you've gone without contact. I
Mm,
mean, your ex, my ex as well, is probably just responding to the incentive that she's got.
mm,
She's getting full whack CMS. If you were legally married, she'd get spousal maintenance. She'd get a chunk of your pension. If you had a house, she'd get a chunk of the house. All
mm.
all she has to do is rip your life up in family court, and all of these hearings, all of these
Yes.
court documents, they're all confidential. You can't really tell your story the way you want. Like the first thing you told me when I came on was, don't mention your case number, don't mention your name, don't mention the ex's name. And
Mm.
when you have that protection, you have free reign to quite literally ruin someone's life. And
Yes.
that's what people are responding to. I mean, if
No,
it
you're right.
was
You're right.
if I think if 50-50 was, let's say, standard straight out the bat, I don't
Mm.
think you'd have the kind of horror stories that we usually do on this show.
The thing is, Mohammed, not Mohammed, Mr. M. Sorry, Mr. M. I think I said your name there. Gave it away. But listen, every
You got
every
me.
brown
You got me.
guy's every brown guy's. The fact is, every brown guy's. Man, we don't like. Who's gonna know? Come on, man. There's billions of
Exactly.
us around here. Do you know what I mean? Anyway, so look, the thing is this, and I think I've mentioned this many times before on podcasts and on these streams, not on these streams, but on podcasts that I've been on, right? And like you said, the problem is, like Mr. Ryan said, when it was marriages are hard work. Now, when you're stuck in when you're in a marriage, you're content, but content is boring. You don't realize, and then grass always seems greener on the other side. And with the laws in place, there are too many incentives for one side to say, well, guess what? I could keep all of this, have all of this. I just need to ditch him. I could have my cake and eat. I could do better. See, there's a lot of, I mean, I know a few ladies that I've spoken to where after the divorce, couple of years on, 2, 3 years on, when they, when things settle and they see where they are actually in the marketplace and they can't get married or they can't settle or they're now head look for leading to a second divorce, they say, well, you know what? I look back now, I was actually happy. I just didn't realize because when you've been content for 10 years, to you, it looks like a boring life. Everything's subjective and perspective. And the problem is there's too many incentives there on the table, like you said. And that is what has contributed. I mean, I'm sure everyone's talking about it. Louis Theroux's The Manosphere. What they missed on that was, and what no one has highlighted is what has really triggered the whole red pill movement and manosphere is the laws that in family court in America, in the UK, in most of the Western countries, but predominantly the family court laws has what has fueled the whole manosphere and the red pill space. People ain't, no one talks about it. That's the thing. They don't highlight that point aggressively, I feel.
Yeah,
Anyways,
agreed. I don't want to take up too much of your time, so shall I just
yes,
crack on
yes.
with the questions?
Yeah, crack with the question. Yeah, sorry, man.
All
Crack
right.
on.
So I've got a DRA on Tuesday, and the purpose of the hearing is to determine whether or not we should have a fact find or not. Now, general theme is that the mother is basically trying to portray a pattern of abuse throughout the relationship, just using whatever arguments that she can kind of get evidence of or anything like that. Now, I'm fortunate that I've got evidence proving my innocence in most of them. And if they are actually dug into, I could possibly prove that mum is actively trying to mislead the court. However, there are one or two incidents that I don't have evidence that supports my innocence in that particular incident. So could the judge order a fact find on those incidents, or could I Yeah, and in essence, like, what's the likelihood of a finding being made if you don't have evidence supporting yourself, despite all the other evidence that you have in regards to the other allegations?
Fact finds have to be proportionate. So for a judge to decide that there's going to be a fact find, he or she has to believe there's a value to it, and the value has to be that it is something to do with what's going to happen with the children later down the line. Otherwise, they're not going to rule it. You can go into a fact find with no evidence at all to support the fact that you are arguing against an allegation, because the court accepts the fact that people don't go through their entire life collecting evidence. Otherwise, that would be pretty unnatural. So they appreciate the fact that stuff happens in people's lives and they can't prove it. They can't demonstrate it. It then boils down to how the judge sees the credibility of the two parties. So the two parties tell their version of that allegation, whatever it may be, and then the judge decides who he or she essentially agrees with or believes. So that's how it works in terms of fact finds. Now, you say obviously you've got a number of allegations made against you that you have got evidence for. The judge will probably still go ahead with the fact find, where to give the forum for that evidence to be tested formally, and then you may come away with it, without a finding. But the comment I make time and time again is, if a judge rules a fact find, somebody's going to get a finding. It's just guaranteed that somebody is going to get a finding made against them. Otherwise, the judge hasn't got any reason for having made it in the first place.
Yeah, I guess it's similar to criminal court, right? You wouldn't order a trial if there wasn't enough to get a conviction, wouldn't it?
Exactly. Yeah. It's essentially the same rule, So as you say, the reason that CPS, Crown Prosecution Service, takes something to trial is because they believe they're going to get something out of it. Otherwise, they don't do it. Family court works the same way. They take a fact find because they believe they're going to get something out of it.
Okay, cool. Okay, fine. That's a good thing to know. In terms of, I was going to say, I've also this case. My case is a case that has allegations going both ways. In your experience, is it likely that mothers have findings made against them?
It can happen. Yeah, it can happen that both parties.
But then, do you have situations where the mother has to do a DAP or something like that?
Yep, I have had occasions where both parties or just the mother or whatever has been instructed to do a domestic abuse perpetrators program. The difficulty is that there are very few perpetrators programs that are aimed at women. So that's a bit of a difficulty. But there have been, as I say, occasions, not regularly, but there have been occasions where a judge has ruled that the mother has to do some domestic abuse work.
Okay, interesting. So it's unlikely that a judge would not necessarily dismiss it, I don't know what the right term is, but almost categorize, let's say, a said incident as mutual conflict. Like, you're both in the wrong, you both need to move on.
That has happened, where the judge has essentially ruled that you're as bad as each other. That situation has arisen where he's made what we call a dual finding. So he said, you've done it and you've done it. You've both been as bad as each other in this instance. So that is a real outcome.
Okay. That was it. I just want that was my question. I just had one request from Mr. Ryan. I think the fact finding special kind of fell by the wayside, but I wanted to request a Section 7 special instead. I think a lot of dads have issues with Section 7 reports, and there's a lot more intricacies involved in those, I feel, than compared to fact finds, because in essence they're kind of mini trials, whereas Section 7, there's a lot more intangibles and kind of unquantifiable stuff that goes into it that a lot of dads could probably benefit from. So maybe a special in regards to a Section 7 report might be a good idea.
Yep, we can do. Yes, we can do that, because you're right. The Section 7. The Section 7 is a rolling trial, where a fact find takes place in the courtroom over the course of a day, 2 days, 3 days. The Section 7 is a rolling trial, so you are being tested over the course of a number of, usually a couple of weeks or so, while the CAFCAS officer is doing the investigation. So, yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I think it would be worth us focusing on that for a little bit.
Okay, we'll arrange it.
Oh, and just to pick up on your very opening comment, which was you don't know about my background and how I was brought up. I was brought up with two parents who were married for 64 years.
Deep.
Yeah, they were the finest human beings on the planet. So,
man, that's
beautiful. That's beautiful.
Beautiful, man. That's beautiful, man. That's touching, honestly. Sweet.
All right, I just wanted to say thank you, guys. Yeah. I'll probably drop off now and give you guys some time back.
Cool. No worries. Thank you.
Thanks for coming on.
Right, let's go, Mr. Keeley.
What have you got?
I've just found out the FCA lives in the same town as X, and the FCA's daughter is friends with X. Also, other possible unproven links.
Okay, that is without a shadow of a doubt a conflict of interest, and you need to raise that within the court proceedings to say, look, with all due respect to the FCA, which stands for Family Court Advisor, so the CAFCAS officer, with all due respect to her, I believe there's a conflict of interest because I believe she is friends or associated with my ex.
But ideally, does he need to try and gather some sort of evidence first?
I think you just put the comment out there and see what you get back.
Fair enough. Right, Mr. S. Had a hearing on the 11th. The judge said I did not give enough details in response, so I need to spend again to the allegations. I need to speak. All right, I don't know what that word is. Albeit the judge was happy to proceed with a fact-finding. Oh, no.
Right, okay, so let's just pick this apart. So you had a hearing on the 11th. The judge said that you didn't give enough details in response to the allegations. So am I surmising from that you have received a schedule of allegations, you were given the opportunity to respond to them and give your view, and you've been a bit vague in doing so? I presume that's what's happened. And the judge has said that you need to have another go at that ahead of a fact find that he is going to do anyway. The response to allegations is an important task, and it's a task that requires some time to be put to it, because it is your opportunity to have some of those allegations removed or diminished, or indeed totally responded to evidentially. So you can present something that says, here you go, here's a very clear evidence to show that this never happened. So you need to focus some time on that, on answering allegations. Otherwise, what happens is it does reflect negatively upon you because the court thinks you're just not interested. So yeah, you need to put some time into that.
I think what happens is when you're sort of going it alone, it's easy to get complacent at times or tired or not give it your all. And so when you're in the fight, sometimes you need to get those extra, dig deep and get those extra little inches out to put the work in. Maybe you can't. This is why sometimes you need support. You get support and spend your money in the right places. Perhaps Mackenzie should have gone over that, like Mr. Ryan, and put something together. So if you could have dodged that fact find, that will determine the outcome of the relationship with your child potentially. So, these are lifelong consequences, guys. Generational consequences. This is what you got to understand, man. This ain't when you get anywhere around the fact find, is not the time to take a round off or get complacent. This is why you need someone in your corner. All right, we've done that. Apologies. S7 report was extremely biased. I don't recognize the name. Yeah, give us more detail. We can talk about it. On a light note, tip for dads with no contact. You can make children books using AI tailored to your own story. You can use a company that does it for you or make your own from scratch, printed £20. Okay, it's good to know.
Yeah, good point. Good point. I like that a lot. That we should be using the resources that are available out there, and the power of AI is alarming. And so yes, you can. You're absolutely right. You can generate books now, where you essentially can do whatever you like with the book. You can go as far as telling the story, and they'll just print it, or you can just fill in the details in somebody else's story. But yeah, nice little hook to keep your children engaged. Good idea.
No, good stuff. Mr. Rivaldo, congratulations to your parents, Mr. Ryan, on their 64 years of marriage.
Thank you. As I say, they were wonderful human beings. I lost my father last year, but they're wonderful human beings.
It's deep, deep. Right, Mr. Divine. I have a friend that has her first hearing where it has been assigned to a circuit judge. What is the requirement for a circuit judge to take on proceedings compared to district judges or magistrates?
It's usually the complexity of the case. But having said that, it can just be as simple as the fact that they've got a circuit judge available, because the diary for a circuit judge, because they're very senior, their diary, their availability to attend court, can be a bit more free and a bit more flexible than district judges, who can be absolutely swamped, or magistrates who can be swamped or just not available. So it could be just as simple as they had one available and that's why they allocated it. Or it could be the fact that because of the complexity in the case, and obviously we don't know your case, because of the complexity in the case, they felt the need to allocate it up to circuit. Just give you some examples, if the case has an international element to it, i.e. we're dealing with children who potentially are abroad or are potentially going to be abroad, it will always be put in front of a circuit judge because they deal with that. They deal with the international capacity. But really, there's a thousand reasons why it might go to a circuit judge. The upside, if there is, the upside of it going to circuit judges is, I have always said in all the years I've been doing this, I would do every hearing in front of a circuit judge if I could, because I find them incredibly easy to work with, in that they will cut through the rubbish and just get straight to the issue. Whilst I may not always get the outcome I want from a circuit judge, but what I do get is the trial moves along quickly, efficiently, and we avoid a lot of the rubbish.
So if you get a circuit judge, consider that as a bonus.
Yeah.
Right. Any tips, advice for dads going into supervised contact in a contact center?
Yeah, contact centers. I mean, I'm not a big fan of contact centers, as everybody knows. I find them quite an unnatural environment for children. And so your job whether it be mum or dad who's going into a contact center with the child, your job is to make that environment as glorious as you can make it and as engaging, as entertaining as you can make it. Because if you're seeing your child for 1 hour or 2 hours every 2 weeks in a contact center, that means that there are, if it's every 2 weeks, that means there is something in the region of 330 hours that you're not seeing them. And those 330 odd hours are being attended to probably in the capacity of the other parent. Your job is to make your 2 hours the finest 2 hours in the 2 weeks. And that doesn't mean that you've got to turn up every week with handfuls of gifts. That doesn't mean that at all. What it means is you've got to be present. You've got to be in the moment with your child. So whatever it is you're doing, and it can be as simple as just the two of you sat there colouring, which is as cheap as chips to do. You can be doing that, but because you're there with them, doing it with them, engaging with them, that is the prize. That is the prize, is to be present in the moment. Over the years, I have worked with some parents who have been fantastic in terms of what they've done in contact, and how they've engaged with it and how they've planned it. I mean, there's one guy in particular I can think of, and I won't, he might be listening actually, but I won't name him. He's a teacher. That's a bit of a heads up. So he's quite resourceful. And he would spend all week planning for the 2 hours that he spent in a contact center with his children. And then when he turned up, he would turn up with absolutely everything. This week we're going to make music. So he would turn up with instruments, a keyboard, a recording device, so he can record everything they've done and then play it back. This week we're going to play games, but we're not just going to play games. We're going to invent a game and then we're going to play the game. And so he was just incredibly creative. And the children just had the best time, just had a fantastic time. The contact center, in fact, we got to a point with this particular chap where when he arrived with the contact center, he was no longer just him and his two children, who were lovely little children, wonderful little children. It was him and the whole room of children.
Mm.
And he was leading the playing session for everybody. And suddenly it wasn't, let's work out a little game between us. It's like, okay, I've now got 20 children, because he's a teacher. I've got 20 children, and we'll all do something. And the staff at the contact centre was down near Luton. The staff in the contact centre just loved him because he engaged everybody. All the children had a great time when he was there. So, and I'm not expecting you to be him, because, as I say, he was a special kind of guy. What I'm expecting you to be is just be in the moment. Just be there for your child. It's not about, I'm just checking my phone. You're right over there. I'm just checking my phone. That's not what it's about. Be there with the child.
Yeah, and I think, look, you got to add to it. Look, what people don't realize, the emotional toll it will take on you. The key is you're going to need your emotional reserves, your emotional resilience to grind through, because moments in there you're going to be emotional, but you can't show your distress. So you got to really, as a father, I would say, you're going to have to dig deep, grin and bear it, bite down on the gum shield, be present, and do not let your inner frustration, your anger, your pain and turmoil to the surface for the kids. Eyes on the prize. Remember, guys, I've done the 10 commandments. Finally, after 4 years, I did a series of 10 evenings, one a night, one rule a night, one commandment a night. The 10 commandments are out on all platforms, YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. Check them out. And as I did them every day, one commandment, they all fall into each other. And when you're in that moment, when you're in that emotional pain, guys, eyes on the prize, you're there for them. You have to put your own pain aside ultimately and be present, because those moments are what's going to count, man. Don't waste them. Don't waste those bullets. Don't waste those moments. Right. Yeah, the judge did dismiss a few of the allegations. The judge dismissed any allegation that could be used in my favor. Oh, great. The judge also made false statements on my case, but I didn't bring it up. Oh, great. Well, it's not a good start, really, I suppose.
Not a good start, but you've got, obviously it's not over yet, so you've got an opportunity to correct those with the judge.
The question is,
go on.
Have you got representation, Mr. S? Have you got a Mackenzie or a team on board? That's the question. Let us know. Perhaps it's time you brought in some big guns. And that means Mackenzie's pilot. I mean, Mackenzie, someone like Mr. Ryan. Mr. D, what's your thoughts on the child-focused court pilot scheme rolled out across all courts? I get the impression the reason for the scheme is there is a belief mothers have been treated unfairly in court. I feel uneasy with this rollout.
The court rolls something out fairly regularly. They've rolled this focus pilot out at the moment. They rolled out Pathfinder. They rolled out the new domestic abuse policy for Kafkas, which removed Kafkas's ability to essentially make judgments ahead of a judge. So something is being dropped into the family court all the time. What will be interesting, and I will come back to this in a minute, but what will be interesting is what happens later this year when the new president of the family court comes on board, because the current president, Sir Andrew McFarlane, is retiring April, I think it is. But yeah, he's retiring, and so there'll be a new lady or gent coming on board. So it'll be interesting to see what they decide to bring out that is new. I'm not overly concerned. I'm not overly concerned by anything that the court rolls out. I think I can see the value to it. I can see what they're trying to achieve. I'm usually fairly cynical, fairly skeptical as to whether anything will actually happen. Pathfinder is a good example. They rolled the Pathfinder scheme out, and certainly a number of the cases that I've had go through Pathfinder in the last few months invariably have fallen back into the traditional route because Pathfinder has failed for them. So this particular scheme, I don't entirely agree with your view that the courts feel that mothers have been treated unfairly, and so they've stuck this pilot scheme out to try and resolve that. I can see why you have that view. I think this is probably a combating by the court, because obviously there's been a very subtle, and it was run in some of the papers. There's been a very subtle change in family law very recently, whereby there was a presumption, an unwritten, unspoken presumption that both parents had the right to a relationship with their child. And very recently, I want to say a couple of months ago, I think it's just either just before Christmas or just after Christmas, there was a very subtle change in that says there is now no longer an assumption that both parents are entitled to a relationship with their child. That is no longer a premise that the court needs to operate on. And I've seen a couple of judges, or heard a couple of judges, who have said in hearings that I've been in, there is no longer an obligation for the court to consider a relationship for both parents. So there is a thought that possibly this focus scheme, this focus pilot scheme that they're rolling out, is trying to address that. I don't think it is. I think it's a scheme that the court is trying out, and to be fair, and this is just me being very cynical now, I think it'll just get lost in the noise, and I don't think it'll come to anything at all. So don't be concerned, but I certainly wouldn't be uneasy by it. It will have little or no impact on your personal circumstances, so don't be concerned by it.
I think the thing is, guys, if you think about the whole thing, I mean, the bigger issue addressing the overall problem, it's going to come one day in the future, we're all going to have to come together and take a stand and show up. It's going to have to come to that one day. So, but that day, like I said, I don't know when it's going to be. But yeah. Anyway, right. Steve, S7 report was extremely biased to the point that I believe it was deliberately missing important details, i.e. abduction to Poland for 3 weeks, assault, and 33 breaches of the interim order by the ex. In your experience, have you seen this level of blind eye?
Yes, in short. In terms of Kafkas, one of my major concerns with Kafkas is that they suffer habitually by something that we call confirmation bias, which means that when they pick up a case, they have made assumptions in that case, and they've made conclusions in that case before they've even entertained a conversation with either party. And all they're then looking for is confirmation of the thought process that they've reached. And so by virtue of that, they can often miss glaring detail. So that's issue number one, is that, as I say, confirmation bias is I think, epidemic levels within Kafkas. The other issue we have is just a lack of professional curiosity. I'll blame it. I'll cut them some slack and say I blame it on their workload, that they don't have time to give consideration, I believe. They don't have time to give consideration to every case in quite the depth that we would like them to. And they will often miss basic detail in their rush to get to the end of the task because they've got another half a dozen or more tasks waiting beyond it. So it's not unusual for me to see what you've described here, where there's been episodes that have been completely missed by the Kafkas officer, or the Kafkas officer has considered the episodes and decided that he or she doesn't think they're relevant or serious enough to feature within the Section 7. Now, the problem that is when they've made that decision, they have shaped a document that is going to shape your future. And my view is that they should capture everything within a Section 7. And it's not their place to edit it and decide what's in and what's not in before a judge has the opportunity to take that same decision. It's a very difficult one. But yes, unfortunately, your comment about blind eye, yes.
Yeah, hang in there, Steve. Hang in there. Right. Mr. D, especially the revoking of the idea of both parents being in a child's life being good. Yes, that was a bit of a blow, Mr. Divine. Father's right. Can I speak about it here? Yes, you can. Yeah, I've put the link in the comments. I put the link, this link here. Click on this link here, and I'll bring you in. In the meantime, Mr. M, he's on a roll tonight. Question about judges. How could you escalate from magistrates to a circuit judge? Magistrates sounds like potluck. You could end up with someone thick-headed or amazing.
It's fairly easy to move from magistrates to circuit. As I say, it's driven by availability. It's driven by the complexity of the case. There's a whole series of reasons why that might happen. I take your point about magistrates. I mean, the reality of magistrates is they are voluntary. They're not receiving a salary for what they do. They receive a small, and it is small, a small amount of sort of expenses for the day that they're in court, but they don't receive a salary. I think that gives me a bit of an issue, I have to say, because I think that immediately then dictates the type of person who is going to become a magistrate. It's somebody who invariably is financially comfortable, which means I don't think we get a complete cross-representation of society in terms of magistrates, because people just can't afford to be a magistrate. You've got to be at work. So up to that point, I take your comment that magistrates are potluck. I think they are. I think sometimes you can get a very conscientious magistrate who genuinely wants to do a really good job, and is genuinely trying their very best. Or you can get magistrates who are there because it looks good when they talk about it at the golf club, but they're not actually wholly interested or invested in the people who are in front of them. And I had a gem a while ago, and I won't say where and I won't say when, but I had a gem a while ago where 3 magistrates are in a hearing with me, and one of them was asleep for the duration of the hearing.
Oh my God. Damn.
Just slumped in a chair like that for the whole of the hearing.
Man, that's disturbing.
Disturbing. Just disturbing. But yeah, so that's so yeah, I think you're right. I think there is an element of potluck with magistrates. I have, you know, I admire those who choose to do it. I do have an issue about the fact that we're not getting a true mix of society.
Yes, if any of you's come into some serious money, consider being a magistrate and supporting the brothers out there. Do you know what I mean? Supporting the fathers out there on the front line. Mr. S, we await you to dial in. We are up to speed with all the comments and questions. We are awaiting you to click on this link and dial in. You can ask your question live.
Party. Join
exactly.
the party.
Yeah, exactly.
Indeed. So, yeah. So, what's happening in the week ahead while we're waiting for him to come and join us? I've got a very busy court week this week. Some weeks are a little quieter than others, but this week I'm very busy. I've got a couple of very key cases this week where we need to land good decisions on behalf of our client base, because they're quite difficult cases. So fingers crossed on that. I think we're ready for them. We've spent a lot of time preparing for them, so all being well, they will go the way we want them to go. Towards the end of the week, what am I doing towards the end of the week? Oh yes, towards the end of the week actually, I'm off to see here's a bit of a novelty. I'm off to see a football club towards the end of the week. I do a little bit of work currently, with a local football club, but with the women's team in a local football club. And I'm off towards the end of the week. Yes, I think it's the end of this week, to go and have a meeting with them about doing something a bit more formal with that football club in terms of the women's team, and probably becoming the women's team sponsor. That looks very likely. So that's going to be quite interesting. Thankfully they're a team who are doing incredibly well. They're at the top of the particular league that they play in, and they're about to get promoted into the next league up. So nice. I have decided to become, my local town's version of Ryan Reynolds with Wrexham.
I like it. Listen, mate. Shares in football clubs and stuff, mate. Listen. We're going up in the world, man. We ain't messing about, guys.
And we're not messing about. But they played today. I was in the office. I've been in the office all day today. But the team played today, and they won 8-0 today. So.
Oh man. Doing well.
Yeah, so they're doing incredibly well, and they just need a bit of support and a bit of input and a bit of a bit of access to some resource. So that we're going to go and have that conversation, see if we can do that for them.
Good publicity, good advertising. I like it. There you go.
Yeah.
Right,
Indeed.
we've got Mr. S in the room.
Cool.
Mr. S, I'm bringing you on. Leave your camera off, ideally, and we go on audio. Right, Mr. S, what's happening? Talk to us.
Hello, how's it going?
Hello. Yeah, man. Good.
Yeah, good man. Thanks for the I've met you guys, isn't it? You remember?
Oh yeah. I remember. Yeah.
You did.
Yeah, really.
That
was really good,
in a
man.
coffee shop in Barnet.
Yeah, that was really random, man. Like
it was.
Yeah, no, it's good to see. That was really good. But I've had 2 directions hearings since that. But the first one, she didn't respond properly to the allegate, in the schedule. So the judge kind of gave her time to complete that. That was my first hearing on the 21st of January, and I've had one on the 11th of March. But it was a different judge, and I mean the first hearing, she was basically arguing with the judge. It was a bit of a I'm basically, that's the situation. So I've got to respond again. But I was in the hearing, and I mean the allegations. There's no real credibility to them. But if I concede on the allegation, I'm basically admitting to that. So I'm just not sure what I'm really responding.
Okay.
You've got to be. The difficulty with allegations is if allegations are being made against you, you get one opportunity to respond to them and try and get as much detail in as you can in order to disprove that allegation. And so you have got to think about it. You've got to spend a bit of time on it. The problem we have is that you probably haven't got, because no normal human being does, you probably haven't got audio recordings of the event, you haven't got photographs of the event, you haven't got screenshots of the event, you haven't got text messages talking about the event. And so it becomes quite difficult. And the situation that I find time and time again, going back to my earlier comment about the fact that boundaries have fallen by the wayside, is that you walk into court and somebody makes an allegation, and which happened 5, 6, 7 years ago, but suddenly they're producing screenshots about it, they're producing audio about it, they're producing photographs about it. And you think, well, hang on a minute, what was the nature of your relationship 5 or 6 years ago that you felt the need to capture everything in evidence? How incredibly sad is that? So it is difficult, S, and you've just got to spend a bit of time on it.
The judge seemed pretty convinced that they would go ahead with the fact find based on the allegation. Seemed like, but the judge previously was actually on my side, I felt, because she kind of like recognized that there was the reason that she stopped contact was purely for child maintenance contact. She actually said that on the recital of that hearing. But the judge, the new judge, she actually said, which was false, completely false. It was that the reason why the contact was stopped was because the child child services got involved, that wasn't the reason. So I mean, the judge kind of felt like the judge was pushing it in any way that wouldn't be in my, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah. Not in your favor, yeah.
Okay, well, you need to. I say you need to just plan out what it is that how it is you're going to tackle those allegations. Because if the judge is heading towards a fact find, and from what you say they are, then at some point you're going to be in that fact find, and you're going to need to defend yourself, and you're going to need to try and explain whatever is being said about you. So you need to give that a lot of thought.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think Mr. S, look, if I don't know what your financial situation is like, but perhaps reach out to Mr. Ryan and perhaps get some representation if you can afford it. And, obviously, Mckenzies, we don't charge an arm and a leg. So if you can get some money together, we'll try and help you where we can, and maybe to give you a fighting chance through the next few sort of stages.
There was a slightly positive outcome. I just want to mention that there was a slightly positive outcome. The judge ordered that she basically asked her if she would send me photos and an update. So she agreed.
That's good.
She agreed to that, and I received some photos, which is the first contact I've had in 9 months. Not even.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. Listen, you're doing well. You're doing well. Just hang in there.
Yeah, honestly, man, I think it needs to be a bit more about how it actually affects people, because there's no sympathy in the courtroom. It's completely.
There's no sympathy in society as a whole for people who end up in our situation, mate. We're nomads. We are isolated. We're alone. We're lonely, and we're fighting the world. But this is what I'm saying. You got to bite down on the gum shield here. You got to dig deep. We can't feel sorry for ourselves at this stage. We just got to continue to persevere. They're still fighting you. You keep going. And like I said, look, if you can get a little bit of money together, Mr. Ryan will represent you and support you. Like I said, he's up and down Barnet as and when needed. So especially around the fact find, as we mentioned earlier, if you can get some support behind you, get someone in your corner, we can get you through the next few stages. And in hearings where you don't need us, we'll say, look, you don't need us here. Just go there, say this, do this. When we need us, we'll say, you need us here and there. So look, reach out to Mr. Ryan. We'll see what we can do, try and help you through where we can, yeah?
Yeah, man, it's great. This is great because, honestly, it's really positive. Like how I've been really keeping good. If you knew a bit more about my background, it's a bit stress, really, to be honest. But this is really good, man. Thanks so much. Everyone as well.
Listen, stay in touch. If you ever need to, just reach out. You got my number. Reach out. We'll have a chat anytime. Yeah. All right. Drop me a message.
Man, appreciate that.
No worries, brother. Take it easy.
You take care.
Poor chat. Battling through, guys. This is what it takes. It's a lonely road. Let's not forget. Yeah. We do these streams every week, and we say do this, do that, say this, fill in this form, and it sort of rolls off our tongues to a certain degree, but it's not easy. It's a lonely road, man. It's a lonely path that we walk, and it's like you've got a rock in your stomach, man. The pain that you carry, the trauma. It's like a boulder on your shoulder, and you're walking through this desert, and you're being crushed by the world. It's a lonely old path, guys. But listen, you just got to dig deep and soldier on. One step in front of the other. Don't start looking too far. Don't look at the destination. Just the next step in front. That's it. And just keep going. Can you do one more step? That's all you got to ask. Can I go one more day? Can I go one more week? Can I just go one more hearing? That's all it is. Don't think too far ahead. Don't worry about the unknown. Just worry about the immediate task, immediate step. Right, where are we? Right, last 3 comments. Let's do steady, slow stream. So, right, did we answer this one? No, we did. Right. Yes, we did.
Yeah, go on. Yeah, start.
Right.
For that. Yeah.
Right. I tried to escalate to a district judge in accordance with Schedule 2 of the Allocation and Gatekeeping Guidance due to the complexity and seriousness of my case, but Magistrates Court denied it. Any tips on how to push it, or have I got mixed up with Circuit Judge?
Okay, it's very, very unusual for a party to be able to pick their own judicial representation, to pick who it is they're going to be in front of. I've had barristers on occasions try and dictate to the court or request from the court where it is they'd like a matter to land, and it's not often that they're successful. if a matter is incredibly complex, incredibly aggressive, then they will sometimes lead it towards a circuit judge. But it's unusual for a party to be able to pick their own judicial representation. So unfortunately, what you've got to do is you've got to tolerate what you've got, and just keep plugging away and move the matter on as best you can. If you are in front of a magistrate court, which it seems to suggest you are at the moment, Steve, then there comes a point where magistrates realise it's out of their league, and that doesn't take long usually, with all due respect to them. So if your matter has got domestic abuse complexities to it, if your matter has got complex child arrangements to it, if your matter has got let me think of another example. If your matter has got complex contact arrangements to it, like you're only seeing the child every other Wednesday for 30 seconds, magistrates will often push it upstairs to a district judge, because they don't feel comfortable in making a decision in that respect. So just hang in there. If the matter reaches a point where it's automatically going to move, it will move. So don't get hung up on the fact that you want to be in front of the circuit judge. That is out of your hands.
Well, I hope that answers the question, guys. It's been a very slow, steady, relaxed pace today. I'm very tired as well, so there's not too much excitement from me. I am suffering from a lot of insomnia. I don't even know how I'm standing up during the day sometimes, but there we go. And yeah, like, subscribe, follow, and share. We're here every Sunday, 8:30. We're back to the usual 8:30 time. Just hang in there, guys. Keep chipping away, one step in front of the other. Mr. Ryan, any final closing comments?
No, it's all the usual. As I've said every week, guys, if you're in court this week, then be respectful of the court, and the court will respect you. I trust it goes well for you. Hold your own, defend your corner, have your argument ready. And the single most important thing that we will say to anybody who's going into a court hearing: know your case. Know your case. Have a good week.